Disclosure must come from the outside, my friends. And the Vatican knows this, and that the secrets of the ancients, what's in the handbag, it's the knowledge about how you run a human society, knowing about evolution and the evolutionary phases that we go through. The simplest way to imagine it is that the Earth, now spherical Earth, is a seed pod, and it's been held closed by a shell on the outside, an engineered shell on the outside of our atmosphere, in our layers of force, remembering that the Earth is the centre of the universe, but in the spheres of force that are outside of us, there is a shell on consciousness, preventing it from growing, and it's getting harder and harder and harder. Now, what's happening is that the pressure is building up, so the surface is getting harder, but as it gets harder, it becomes more brittle. As it becomes more brittle, as it becomes harder, inside the pressure builds. So there is a shift coming between building pressure and brittleness of shell. So as it gets harder, pressure builds. As it gets harder, it becomes more brittle. There's a sudden break, isn't there? You can see that. Unstoppable. And what's going to happen, and don't be afraid, is that we're all going to die. But we will be reborn in new bodies on a new earth, as promised to us. Evolution, remember. It explains evolution, not the bullshit. Evolution happens in jumps. Go back and look and make sure yourself that you're happy that that's true. And then go, okay, we're entering one. We're natural beings. What we're pretending is that we're not natural. We pretend that we're something other than a natural being, and we're not. We're just not. The costume that we wear, this protein costume that we wear, is merely a protein costume that we have donned as an avatar. Our real lives are happening in another dimension. Our consciousness happens in another dimension. We can live in the dimension where our consciousness exists, and it'll make sense. It'll be coherent. Yeah? Stable coherence will be achieved from unstable coherence. It's going to be brilliant. So that's why they can't tell us, because we have to die. So you have to be ready to die with a really happy heart, dying in the name of God, knowing for certain that eternal life exists and this is all a lie, and that you've been lied to. That's what they're hiding. So make some jumps in your mind quickly and assemble information and go, okay, yes, bloody hell, that makes some sense. Because the UFOs and the interdimensional beings and the non-human intelligences are all simply explained when you have the Earth at the center and spheres of dimensions around it. So that other entities exist in other dimensions with their own moons and their own second moments of areas. And they are currently all superior to us because we're at the bottom. But we should be at the top. So we've fallen to the bottom of the food chain, the pond. We're settling in the sediment at the bottom of the pond. And from this murk, a new Cambrian is going to explode. But it'll be a new Cambrian of human beings, as well as all the animals. But human beings is going to fracture into our various natural states that we choose in our evolutionary cycle. I can only promise you this. It's going to be wonderful. And I can only promise. So you have to trust the promise. Trust the engineering. Trust Christ. Look at the information. Okay, that sounds better than this. Rip the scab off. Ow! Wow! That's really what it's going to be. We all do it together and it'll be as painless as it can be. Lockdown, prepare, learn, training. Take information, lodge it into your brains, force it into your brains as the truth, push everything else out. Big party, big O, big orgasm, which will ripple the planet's love waves that hold it together, the elastica, and that will be the break that sends us on our way. And so it will be a post-coital snooze for many of you. And for those of us who are not going to be indulging, we will just be partying and riding and enjoying it and enjoying the music. It'll be a musical climax. Will also be available. So there'll be a climax, and it can be achieved in certain ways, and we'll make sure it's all done really rhythmically. That's the main thing, that there is a rhythm to the motion of the climax at midnight on the day that we choose. And that's disclosure. So just forget everything. Trust my promise and get ready. Theoretical physics is just bullshitting you. Everyone is bullshitting you, except the outside, and the heart. The love and the rigid body, unstoppable. Follow the rebel king to the future.